They say the street eats the weak. They lie. The street eats everyone who stays too long. Some people just taste better because they're soft, curious, or too stubborn to listen. I was all three. Chapter 1. The first bite is free. The first bite was gum. A green pack, 50 cents, maybe less. But cheap sweetness sticks to your teeth, feeds the rot that waits behind your smile. Nobody tells you that. They tell you about the big heists, the guns, the girls, but they never tell you about the tiny lie that fits in your pocket and grows teeth overnight. I was 13. Summer sweat glued my shirt to my back. My cousin Troy stood half a head taller, already carrying the weight of a reputation none of us could afford. Troy was legend on our block, first to get suspended twice before 16, first to pull a switchblade on a boy who owed him $5 and half a blunt. He was a king in borrowed sneakers, a crown of bad ideas balanced on his grin. He was everything I thought I wanted to be: loud, feared, respected, alive in a way the inside of my mother's apartment could never be. It was Troy who looked at me like a dog sizing up a mutt. "You want to eat or not?" he asked. We were standing in the bodega on Maple, the one with dusty shelves and a cashier who'd rather watch the static on his TV than the kids poking around the candy aisle. I shrugged like I didn't care, but my heart was drumming in my ears. I wanted him to see I could hang, that I wasn't just the skinny kid at his side holding his bag. "Bet you won't," he said. He plucked the gum off the rack, held it in front of my face like a priest offering the body of Christ. "Go on, lil man. Man up." My fingers shook when I took it. Not enough for him to notice. Or maybe he did, and that's why he smiled like that. Like he'd won something. I palmed the gum, waited for the cashier to turn, slipped it in my pocket like I'd done it 100 times in my head, but never in real life. When we walked out, the heat hit my face, but the cold sweat under my shirt wouldn't dry. Behind the laundromat, we unwrapped every stick and stuffed them in our mouths until our jaws ached and our spit turned sweet and stringy. We spit the lumps onto the cracked pavement like kings leaving offerings to ants. That night my mother found the empty wrapper in my jeans pocket. She sat on the edge of my bed, the lights off except for the hallway bulb leaking through the crack in the door. Her face was a shadow. Her voice was softer than prayer. "Where'd you get this?" I didn't flinch, didn't swallow, just lied smooth. "Troy bought it." She wanted to believe me. That's what kills me now. She wanted to believe so bad, she didn't ask again. She just touched my hair and closed the door and went back to her Bible at the kitchen table, whispering my name like God needed the reminder. I couldn't sleep. Not because I felt bad. That came later. But because I felt big. Bigger than our tiny apartment. Bigger than the corner store. Bigger than the rules. Next day, same store. This time a Snickers. Next week, coins from my mother's purse while she was in the shower. At first I'd slipped them back when guilt made my stomach twist. Then I stopped. Guilt is just hunger before you learn to feed it. Troy saw it. He smelled it on me like fresh meat. He started calling me Lil Wolf. Said every pack needs one mean enough to bite back when the big dogs come barking. Chapter 2. Hunger never sleeps. They say once the street has your name in its mouth, you never really sleep again. You close your eyes, but you don't rest. You twitch, you flinch, you listen for footsteps that might be coming for what's left in your pocket. Hunger never sleeps, and neither does fear. The first couch I crashed on smelled like mildew and fried food. Darius, skinny kid with cracked lips and a stutter when he lied, said I could stay a few nights if I brought something worth the space. So I brought a bag of weed I'd lifted from an older boy's stash while he was too high to remember he owned it. That night 4 of us passed the blunt around until the room spun and the cockroaches crawling under the fridge felt like part of the wallpaper. We talked big. We were going to run blocks, flip packs, stack paper till we could buy our mama's houses on the good side of town. Lies taste sweet when you're too broke to afford sugar. Darius knew a guy who knew a guy. There's always a guy. This one had pills, little white soldiers lined up in plastic bags. Said we could push them easy, no risk if we kept it small. Folks want to feel good, man, Darius said, slurring through the smoke. You give them what they need. They pay you for the favor. Ain't even crime. Really, it's kindness. I told myself the same thing when we stashed half the bag in my sock and hit the corner near the bus stop. First customer was a college kid, backpack sagging with textbooks, eyes darting like he was waiting for his mama to pop out from behind a tree. He handed me crumpled bills like they were radioactive. He said thanks so soft I almost laughed in his face. Easy money, Darius said. But easy money is just bait for a bigger hook. A week later, The guy who knew the guy wanted his cut, plus more. Rent, he called it. The corner wasn't ours. The pills weren't ours. The air we breathed wasn't even ours. If we wanted to keep eating, we paid him or we disappeared. Simple. We scraped together the cash, sold cheap headphones we boosted from the gas station, my knockoff Jordans I'd once worn like armor. Didn't matter. The street always wants more than you have. One night, after another endless hustle for crumbs, I sat on the back steps of an abandoned house with Darius. He smoked the last of our profit, watching the smoke twist like ghosts in the streetlight. Ever think about quitting? He asked. I laughed so hard I startled the rats rustling in the trash behind us. Quit to do what? Flip burgers? Mop floors? You think they'd let us in the front door looking like this? He didn't answer, just sucked the blunt down to the paper, eyes glazed. I thought about my mother then, where she slept, if she still left the window cracked for a god that never came. I wondered if she told people she had no son, or if she lied the way I did. He's doing good, just working hard. You know how boys are. The first time it got ugly, it wasn't even my mess. Darius dipped into the bag we were supposed to move, said he'd pay it back double. Nobody ever pays it back double. He got sloppy, strung out and twitching behind the same bus stop we used to call our office. Word got back to the guy. Next thing I know, I'm waking up to 3 knocks on the door I wasn't supposed to answer. Darius was gone. His stash was gone. His debt wasn't. They dragged me out by my collar. I tried to talk, said I didn't touch it, I didn't know. Nobody cares when the balance comes due. You're guilty by association. Guilt is contagious when there's money missing. They didn't beat me bad, just enough so I'd remember. Split my lip, bruised my ribs, promised worse if I didn't cover the hole my friend left behind. Funny how a few slaps can feel like kindness when you know what real punishment looks like. I found Darius 2 days later, curled up behind a boarded-up liquor store, mumbling to a god even less useful than mine. I didn't say much. Just took his shoes, pawned them for bus fare. Lesson learned. On the street, even pity costs more than you can afford. I kept pushing. Pills turned to powder. Powder turned to talk of real work, runs upstate, bigger drops, real weight. I wasn't ready. But hunger don't wait for permission. The night I agreed to my first real job, moving a package I didn't ask questions about. I told myself this was it. 1 score, then out. 1 job to square the debts, buy a bus ticket, maybe knock on my mother's door with a lie, so pretty she'd let me sit at her table again. Chapter 4. Empty beds, heavy heads. They say every man's got a weakness. Most think it's money. Some swear it's power. But ask around any block at 3 a.m., and you'll hear the same truth in different voices. It's the warm skin beside you that costs the most. After the corners and the runs, when my ribs still ached from unpaid debts, I learned to buy comfort in hours. No ties, no promises, no names, just the hush of rented beds and thighs that didn't ask where I'd been. First time was a strip club on the east side, neon sign buzzing like a bug zapper for lost boys. Darius dragged me there when he still had a pulse and a sense of humor. Man can't sleep on concrete every night, he said, grinning through yellow teeth. Might as well buy the dream, even if it's fake. She called herself Star. Said it's soft enough you could almost believe it wasn't a lie. She smelled like stale perfume and mint gum, eyes glassy like she'd seen every version of me before I sat down. I didn't touch her that night, just watched her dance, dollar bills fluttering down like confetti nobody wanted to sweep up. When she sat on my lap, she leaned in so close I thought I might drown in her whisper. You don't gotta be tough in here, baby. That's the thing nobody tells you about the street. It'll convince you a warm body can wash the blood off your hands. It'll sell you a softness you can rent by the hour, but never own. And you'll keep paying because the lie feels better than the truth waiting at the bottom of your lungs. After Star, there was Crystal. Then Summer. Then girls who didn't bother with names, just room keys and prices scribbled on the back of receipts for gas stations or corner stores. Sometimes they'd laugh too loud, or cry too quiet, or ask questions I didn't have the stomach to answer. Most nights, I didn't even care who was lying more, them or me. I told myself I was in control. I told myself I didn't need real love, real touch, real trust. I told myself they needed me. That's the thing nobody tells you about the street. It'll convince you a warm body can wash the blood off your hands. It'll sell you a softness you can rent by the hour, but never own. And you'll keep paying because the lie feels better than the truth waiting at the bottom of your lungs. After Star, there was Crystal. Then Summer. Then girls who didn't bother with names, Just room keys and prices scribbled on the back of receipts for gas stations or corner stores. Sometimes they'd laugh too loud, or cry too quiet, or ask questions I didn't have the stomach to answer. Most nights, I didn't even care who was lying more, them or me. I told myself I was in control. I told myself I didn't need real love, real touch, real trust. I told myself they needed me more than I needed them. But every time I left, the bed felt colder than concrete, and my name tasted cheaper than the gum I first stole to prove I wasn't soft. Some nights it wasn't a girl from the street. It was the illusion girls, the ones glowing on phone screens, promising everything in whispers typed out for dollars. OnlyFans, premium snaps, the backstage feed nobody really sees. Girls who'd wink through the lens while your money dripped out your account like blood you'd never get back. They'd show you beaches, champagne, hotel pools that gleamed under fake sunsets. But they'd never show you the emptiness in their eyes when the camera died. They'd never show you the broken phone screens they used to scroll through DMs from men too stupid to know they were paying to feel wanted. Confession: I once paid a girl 3 months' worth of street hustle money just to hear her say my name on a voice note. Just my name, nothing more. I played it back for weeks, telling myself I was different than the other suckers. I wasn't. Diary fragment, 2005. I scribbled it on the back of a stolen cigarette pack. You can buy the hour, but not the heartbeat. You can buy the scream, but not the soul. You can buy her body, but she's long gone before you unzip your jeans. I told myself I'd stop. That next time I'd spend that money on bus fare home. A clean shirt, maybe a cheap room somewhere the door locked from the inside. But the street don't let you sleep alone. It don't care if you're lonely. It just wants you tired enough to crawl back for more. There's an old lie they tell boys like me. Pussy saves you. They don't say that pussy drains you faster than a bullet sometimes. They don't say how your wallet empties faster than your veins. They don't say how you'll wake up one morning, count the stains on the sheet beside you, and wonder if your mother would still open the door if she smelled your sins on your collar. One night, I lay on a hotel mattress, stale air conditioning rattling above my head. The girl beside me passed out with her makeup smeared on the pillow. I looked at the ceiling and whispered out loud, "What I survived might kill you." Because it was true. Some of you think you're built for it, for the life, the rush, the poison, the warm skin that costs more than your rent. But you're not. You're not ready to watch your name rot under someone's fake lashes and soft sighs. So here's the dare, raw and filthy and free. Go ahead. Try it. Spend your paycheck on a girl who calls you baby while her real man waits in the car downstairs. Taste the lie. Wake up broke. Wake up empty. Wake up the same fool who thought he could rent love for the price of cheap whiskey. Try it. But don't say I didn't warn you when the street eats your name too. They say the street only has 2 kinds of loyalty, the kind you buy and the kind you bury. I learned that the night I bled on a stranger's bathroom floor and realized the only person I'd ever really trusted was the same one holding the doors shut so I wouldn't crawl away. It started with a debt, doesn't it always? Not mine this time. We were sitting on cracked plastic chairs in the back room of a corner bar that sold watered-down whiskey and promises you could drink until you forgot who you were. Smoke clung to the ceiling. I remember counting the water stains while Troy, fresh out, rougher now, eyes that looked through me like I was glass, told me we were square. One more run, Wolf. Then we disappear, real talk. It was always one more. One more hit. One more boost. One more bag dropped in hands that would never shake yours if they didn't need your spine to carry their dirt. This time it was cash, real cash. Old bills, big bills, strapped in bricks like bricks of powder but heavier because the street never lets you hold money unless you promise to sweat blood for it first. We were supposed to hand it off, simple trade. Same night, same street light buzzing like a dying fly. Troy said we, but when the time came, he wasn't there. Just me, standing under that flickering lamp with a bag heavier than my heartbeat. The guy who showed up wasn't the man I was told to expect, bigger, older, skin like rough bark, gold teeth that didn't shine because they were clean but because they'd bitten through more than steak. He didn't talk. Just nodded at the bag, then at my pockets, then at my shoes, like maybe I'd hidden more somewhere under my tongue. I wanted to tell him I wasn't stupid. But before my mouth opened, his fist cracked the side of my head so fast the lamp overhead popped like a firecracker. I hit the wall. Felt my ribs flex like a door somebody forgot to lock. I don't remember how long I was down. Just that when I came back up, the bag was gone and my phone was ringing in my pocket like a bad joke. Troy's name on the screen. I picked up, half blind, half deaf, whole fool. "You good?" His voice sounded soft, like he'd just woken up from a nap I paid for with my face. They took it, I said, blood on my lip, my ear buzzing. Where were you, man? Silence. I could hear him breathe, could hear him not care. Then, soft. You're good for it, Wolf. Handle it. I'll be in touch. Click. Handle it. Like it was my mess. Like he hadn't set me up, fed my name to dogs who didn't bark first. I pressed my back to the brick wall behind that alley and counted my pulse until the night stopped spinning. When I could stand, I stumbled 3 blocks to a girl I barely knew. Rented room, broken lock, sink dripping cold water like a clock counting down the minutes I had left before the street came knocking again. She didn't ask questions when I showed up with half my face purple and swollen. She just pointed at the bathroom and handed me a rag that smelled like bleach. I sat on that tile floor, back against her tub, rag pressed to my cheek like it might hold my head together. Over the hum of traffic and the muffled TV next door, I could hear her on the phone, soft, urgent, her voice sharp with my name. Not my mother, not God, just another witness to my bruises who would sleep fine once I was gone. It took 2 days to stand up straight again. 2 days to scrape up what I could hustle to keep the men Troy owed from skinning me for the trouble. I pawned the last watch I owned, boosted a pair of new shoes from a discount store, sold them same hour, cash gone by dawn. I told myself it would be enough. I told myself it would be enough. I told myself next time I'd see the setup coming. But the street don't reward you for learning slow. It just resets the trap until you stop breathing. Diary, 2006, scrawled in a diner napkin while I counted my last $3 for stale coffee. Trust cuts deeper than any blade. Loyalty costs more than a bullet. Betrayal don't come wearing a mask. It comes wearing your friend's smile. A week later, I saw Troy again. Same bar, same plastic chairs. His grin still sharp as broken glass. You did good, Wolf, he said. Like it was praise. Like I should thank him for the bruise that never faded from my temple. I asked him why. Simple. Calm. Just why. He laughed so soft I thought it might kill me where I sat. Because you're the only one dumb enough to stay loyal. And loyalty keeps the wolves off my back, don't it? He slid a roll of bills across the sticky table. Not enough to fix anything. Just enough to remind me I was his dog, not his brother. I took it. Because what else do you do when your name's already bought and paid for? If you're reading this thinking you'd never fall for it, I dare you. Trust someone who swears they'd die for you. Let them hold your secrets, your scars, your sins. Then watch them sell your spine for gas money when the street breathes down their neck. When I left that bar, I didn't look back at Troy, didn't spit on the sidewalk, didn't curse his name. Because the street don't care about revenge. The street only cares how hungry you are when your pockets turn inside out. And I was still hungry. Always hungry. They say there's always that one thing that hooks you for good. The trick that keeps you crawling back even when your teeth are falling out from the taste. Some boys choose the bottle. Some roll their sins up in crisp dollar bills and snort them through broken straws. Some jab their veins until their skin forgets what clean feels like. Me? I thought I was better than all of it. I told myself I was too smart to get sloppy. I'd seen Troy twitch through detox on a county jail cot. I'd watched Darius grind his teeth down to wet chalk in a basement full of piss and broken promises. I swore that wouldn't be me. But the street laughs at your oaths. And the first time I let that powder kiss the back of my throat, it laughed so hard I felt its teeth in my spine. It wasn't even supposed to happen that night. I'd done my run, dropped my cash, counted my cut. I should have gone home. If you can call a borrowed couch with cigarette burns and roaches home. But Rico, the same ghost who vanished when Troy fell, popped back up with pockets full of poison and a grin that split his jaw like a rotten peach. He found me on the steps behind that same bar, handed me a baggie, pale as death, soft as lies. On the house, Wolf, he said. You look tired. I was tired. Tired of the bruises, the dirty money, the prayers that never came true. Tired of seeing my mother's face in my dreams, eyes cracked open in a grief I'd gift-wrapped for her. So I let the poison melt on my tongue. I let it crawl through my head like a warm hand over a bruise. For the first time in years, I didn't hear my heartbeat hammering out a warning. For the first time, the street shut up. Funny thing about poison, once it tastes sweet, you forget it's killing you. Next night, I wanted it again. Just to sleep, I said. Just to smooth the edges. Rico laughed, said I was family, said he'd float me until the big job hit. 2 days later, the bag was smaller. The cost was bigger. I pawned my last chain, the cheap gold my mother gave me on my 15th birthday, back when she still believed my name meant son and not liability. A week later, I was boosting corner store snacks just to get the cash to hush the shaking in my hands. Diary, 2007, written in marker on the inside of a pizza box I used as a pillow. The street sells you sleep, sells you silence, sells you death by the dose. You pay in ribs and teeth, and the pieces of your name you swore you'd never lose. First time I blacked out, it wasn't even dramatic. No needle hanging, no sirens wailing. Just me on a bathroom floor I didn't own, cheek pressed to cold tile while my breath rattled like a busted window. I woke up alone. Always alone. Checked my pockets, empty. Checked my name, emptier. The dare they don't print on the baggie. Try it once. Bet you can quit. Bet you're stronger than Troy, than Darius, than me. Go ahead. Prove the lie right. After that, the line between hustler and junkie blurred so fast I didn't bother fixing it. I'd run a drop, skim enough to keep my ghost quiet. I'd promised the man I owed I was good for it. Next week, next job, next miracle. When they found out I'd been tasting the product, they didn't beat me right away. They let me sit in a locked room for 3 days, shaking so bad my bones felt like splinters. They fed me stale bread, warm beer, no mercy. On the 4th day, they opened the door. Threw me out like trash that couldn't pay rent. I found Rico again 3 weeks later. He was laid out on a ripped couch, nodding off while the TV played static in a squat we'd once bragged about turning into an empire. I shook him awake, demanded to know why he fed me the poison, why he let me sink. His eyes were yellow, glassy. He looked at me like I was a stranger holding a mirror. 'Cause I didn't want to drown alone, Wolf, he slurred. Misery needs a friend. They say experience is the best teacher. They don't say some lessons bury you alive. One night I sat in an alley, knees to my chest, teeth chattering while my last fix burned my throat. Across the street was a bus stop, same bench I dreamed about 100 times. I watched clean kids get on clean buses to go home to clean kitchens where mothers prayed for sons who still answered the door when they knocked. And I thought, what I survived might kill you. Because the street will always hand you a sample, just a taste, just a bump, just a line. And you'll swear you're different, smarter, stronger. And then one morning you'll wake up on a floor that don't belong to you. Name gone, veins empty, God quiet. So here's the raw truth. Try it. Light up. Line up. Shoot up. But don't lie to yourself. Don't pretend you'll walk away clean. Don't pretend your name will hold its shape when the poison wants your bones. Chapter 7. When the fists stop, the echo stays. Chunk 52000 characters. They sell you violence like it's glory. The streets, the movies, the songs, they all tell you a fight makes you a man. They don't show you what it feels like to wake up smelling your own blood under your fingernails weeks after you've forgotten whose face you cracked open. They don't tell you some bruises heal, but the echo of a man's voice begging you to stop never really leaves your ears. My first real fight wasn't for money. Wasn't for turf. Wasn't even for pride. It was because someone laughed when they shouldn't have. We were drunk. Half high. Broke and hungry, but pretending we weren't. Some kid I didn't know said something slick about my mother, the same mother I hadn't seen in a year, maybe more. Rico egged me on. You gonna let him spit on your name, Wolf? The boy didn't even see it coming, my fist splitting his lip open so fast his eyes watered before his brain caught up. The sound was soft. That's the part nobody says. Bones breaking under skin don't roar like thunder, they whisper like secrets. I hit him again. And again. And again. I don't know how many times. Enough to see teeth that weren't his anymore, just white pieces stuck in the dirt behind the bar. I stopped when my hand hurt more than his face. Rico pulled me off, laughing, telling me I was family, I was real, I was untouchable. But that kid's eyes never left mine, even half swollen shut. They said you're worse than what you're running from. After that night, it got easier. When the street asked for teeth, I gave it teeth. When it asked for blood, I offered mine too if it meant the name Wolf still had bite left. There was this crew from 3 blocks over, boys we used to drink with before lines got drawn in the dirt by men too old to bleed but too greedy to stop the kids from doing it for them. They caught Troy first, fresh out again, still stupid enough to think his grin would get him out of anything. They beat him behind the gas station while I watched from the curb. I didn't move. I didn't blink. When they were done, they looked at me like a question. Your turn? I stood up. Took my jacket off slow. Told myself it was them or me. When the first knuckle met my cheekbone, I felt nothing. When my elbow cracked a nose sideways, I felt less than nothing. When I tasted copper on my tongue and smiled through it, I knew the street had me for keeps. They say when you kill a man, you kill yourself too. I never killed nobody with my fists, not that I know of. But I left boys crawling in alleys, spitting out pieces of themselves they'd never grow back. I told myself it was survival. I told myself it was respect. I told myself the same lie every dog with blood on its teeth tells itself. They had it coming. Diary scrap, 2008, written on the torn corner of a cheap bar menu. You win the fight, you lose the rest. Fists heal, names don't. The last fight that really mattered wasn't mine. It was Troy's again. He owed the wrong people, same story, new faces, same hungry street. They came for him at a card game. Knocked the table over, guns out like punctuation marks on a sentence we'd been writing since we were kids. I froze. Same way I did the first time. Same way I always do when the noise is too loud for my spine to lie. Troy didn't freeze. He lunged at the man with the pistol. Got half a shout out before his skull met the edge of the bar counter. The crack was louder than the shot that followed. I watched his blood run under the sticky bar floor, same floor we'd spilled cheap whiskey on, same floor we'd dreamed up kingdoms on. His eyes didn't say anything this time. They just stayed open, waiting for a truth that never came. I didn't stick around to answer questions. I didn't look at the man who pulled the trigger. I didn't swear revenge. I knew better by then. The street don't care about revenge. It only wants proof you're hungry enough to keep chewing. I ducked out the back door, fists still sticky with a fight I hadn't finished. In the alley, I puked up everything I'd swallowed to keep the mask on. When I stood up, my shadow looked smaller than it ever had, a stray dog with no bark left, just teeth and regrets. So here's the dare you keep asking for. Raise your fists. Swing until your knuckles split. Prove you're not soft. Prove you can take a punch and dish it back twice as mean. But know this, the street always hits back harder. The street don't wear gloves. The street don't count rounds. When the fists stop, the echo stays. Chapter 9, The Lies We Swallow. They tell you the streets teach loyalty. They lie. What the streets really teach you is currency. Your loyalty is only worth as much as your usefulness. The second you can't carry a bag, take a punch, run a name, your brothers will pawn you off faster than the watch your mother gave you on your birthday. It starts sweet. Always does. You meet someone at the bus stop, or in a trap house, or behind the liquor store where the neon lights can't quite find you. You share a smoke, a laugh, a story about where you came from, which is really a story about where you can't go back. You trade names you stole from better men. You swap promises like cheap candy. I got you, you got me. That's how gangs happen. That's how crews are built. Not from blood, but from empty pockets and shared enemies. My first brother was Troy. You already know how that ended. But there were others. Every time Troy burned me, I found a new shadow to stand beside. Each one more dangerous than the last. Each one with a grin that told me, I won't do you like he did. There was Marlo. Skinny, fast hands, eyes like a rat that survived every trap but learned nothing from it. Marlo could boost a car stereo in 30 seconds flat, back when people still cared about car stereos. He showed me how to pop locks, where to fence parts, how to keep my fingerprints off the shiny bits that made other men work overtime to afford them. Marlo said we were brothers, blood thicker than cops and snitches. He'd whisper while we counted the split behind the gas station. But the night they dragged me in for a break-in, I didn't even remember doing. Marlo's name was the first one I coughed up. I didn't mean to. But when you're 17 and two cops have your ribs pressed into the hood of a car that ain't yours, your tongue don't care about loyalty. It cares about freedom. They laughed when I said his name. Marlo? He gave you up an hour ago, kid. It didn't end there. After Marlo, there was Big Drew. Big Drew wasn't fast like Marlo. He was mean. Mean enough to keep people off me when my name started stinking worse than my jacket. He liked having a stray dog at his heel, someone who'd fight just to prove they weren't soft. He'd slap me on the back after a run, slide me a cut just enough to keep the lights on in whatever squad I was calling home that month. He'd buy me drinks, laugh too loud, tell girls this kid's family. But the second my cut came up light, the second I couldn't muscle some kid for what Drew was owed, he reminded me what family means. One night, I came up short. Some punk kid, barely 15, ran when he saw me coming. I could have chased him, could have tackled him, but he looked like my little brother, the one my mom used to dream I'd be more like. So I let him run, told Drew the truth. Big Drew didn't hit me, didn't yell. He just smiled and wrapped an arm around my shoulders like a father who never bothered to stay. You soft, Wolf. No. You sure? Yeah. Prove it. He drove me to the kids' neighborhood, parked 2 blocks from the bodega where that boy's mom worked double shifts just to keep him fed. Drew handed me a bat, the kind that feels heavy even before it tastes bone. Teach him not to run from family. I stood in that alley all night, bat in my hand. Kid never showed. Maybe he knew. Maybe his mom knew. Maybe some god I don't believe in knew I was too much of a coward to swing steel at a child's bones. Drew called me soft for weeks after that, but he kept me close, because every king needs a fool, and every fool needs a king when he's too scared to sleep alone. Diary scrap, 2010, scribbled on a paper bag while I waited for Drew to come back with a bag full of poison I swore I wouldn't touch. Brotherhood is the sharpest lie you'll ever swallow. Tastes sweet going down, slices you open on the way out. The worst one, though, the one that still burns when I think about it, Ghost. Ghost was slick, always clean. Never saw him with a scratch on him, no matter how dirty the work got. He didn't hustle dope, didn't push pills. Ghost sold stories. Fake IDs, fake dreams, fake get-rich-quick schemes. He'd talk circles around you till you forgot your own name. Then he'd use it to sign something you'd regret. I met Ghost in a dive bar on the south side. He bought me a drink with money that was probably mine to begin with. Wolf, you're good muscle. But you're wasting it on scraps, he said. Stick with me. I'll show you how to eat. He did. For a while, we ate real good. Ghost knew how to squeeze credit from shadows. Payday loans that never got paid. Cars leased in names that didn't belong to us. Even a house once. 2 months of pretending I was some kid named Marcus with a clean record and a fake job at a warehouse that didn't exist. We threw parties in that house. Girls. Drinks. Enough blow on the bathroom sink to make a preacher sweat blood. We knew it wouldn't last, but for a minute it felt like maybe the street could be tricked. Maybe if we dressed up the lie well enough, we could slip out the back door and be new men in cities that didn't know our smell. The knock came at dawn. 2 men. Bad suits. Bad haircuts. Worse news. Marcus here. I was still half asleep. Ghost nowhere in sight. His half of the bed cold. The front door cracked open just enough to whisper he gone. They dragged me out in my boxers. Handcuffs so tight my wrists bled before I hit the back seat of their Crown Vic. The charges didn't stick. They never do when you're nobody worth booking. But the shame did. When I got out, a week later, broke and barefoot, the house was stripped bare. No Ghost. No girls. No credit. Just my old jacket folded on the porch like a joke. Inside the pocket, a note scribbled in Ghost's neat, cocky script. Don't take it personal. You were always good muscle, Wolf. That's all you ever were. Gee. So here's the lesson. Here's the dare. Trust your brothers. Believe every I got you. Swallow every we're in this together. Then watch how fast your name ends up on someone else's paperwork when the street wants its pound of flesh. I've seen men kill for less than a handshake. I've seen friends bury each other for a bag of powder. I've seen mothers weep for sons who thought crew meant forever. It don't. Forever on the street is just a word we use to sell ourselves to the next man who promises we'll never sleep hungry again. Diary, 2011, scribbled on the back of a court summons I never showed up for. You can't blame the snake for biting, but you can blame yourself for letting it curl up warm in your chest. So again, you can't blame the snake for biting. You blame yourself for holding it to your chest and calling it family. Chapter 10, The Price of Living. Chunk 1, 2,000 characters. People love the comeback story. The man who makes it out. The man who crawls through poison, betrayal, needles, fists, fake love, fake brothers, and stands up clean on the other side. But here's what they don't show you on the news when they say he turned his life around. They don't show you the parts of you that never came back with you. They don't show you the price. I'm not dead. Not by the street's definition. My name's not chalked on a sidewalk. Not pinned to a cold metal drawer under a toe tag that spells my mother's grief in block letters. I breathe. My heart still stutters in my chest like a car that should have been scrapped years ago. Some nights I even sleep. Not good, not whole, but enough. But that don't mean I'm alive the way you think. I don't run corners anymore. Don't carry bags. Don't muscle kids for debts that'll never get paid. Don't stand under flickering streetlights waiting for a man who might come or might bury me right there. Instead, I sit at this cheap table, secondhand wood, secondhand chair, First time I've called something mine in too long to remember. I scratched these words down on old receipts, diner napkins, the backs of court summonses I never answered. I write because if I don't, the ghosts keep talking. The ghosts, they're loud when you've survived more than you deserved. People like to ask, was it worth it? They mean the dirt, the hustle, the bruises, the taste of blood and poison and handcuffs that click tighter than any wedding ring ever did. I tell them the truth they don't want. I don't know. Because here's what survival really is. It's being the last dog standing on a street corner nobody visits anymore. It's replaying every lie you swallowed like cheap liquor. It's checking your scars in the mirror and realizing they're the only thing that stayed loyal. Diary, 2013. One line written on the inside of a pack of cigarettes I swore I'd quit. They say experience is the best teacher, but sometimes the lesson costs more than the life you got left to live. Sometimes I see kids, clean shoes, clean eyes, standing where I once stood. Pockets empty, hearts hungry. They think they're wolves, too. They think they're invincible. They think the bullet that didn't kill 50 Cent means they'll survive theirs too. So I tell them, try it. Light the fuse. Snort the powder. Trust the brother who calls you blood when the lights go out. But know this, what I survived might kill you. And you might not get up like I did. Some listen. Most don't. The street don't care which is which. I've seen my own face in the glass at 3 a.m. Unshaven, eyes yellow, lines carved deep like the street itself drew its map on my skin. I still feel the old poisons in my teeth. The old bruises when it rains. I still flinch at shadows that look like old friends. You think survival's pretty? Survival's quiet. Survival's lonely. Survival's a bed too big because the love you tried to hold died somewhere between her mouth and your broken promises. I keep a box under my bed, old diaries, scraps, half-burnt photos. One shows Troy, arms slung around my neck like a rope I didn't see until it was too late. Another's a note from Shay, her handwriting soft, the ink bled from tears or rain or both. Sometimes I think about burning that box. But then who'd remember what I paid for this half-life? They say scars are proof you lived. I say they're proof the street didn't finish the job. Every mark, every name, every lie, they're receipts for the life I bought on credit I'll never pay off. So what's the lesson? What's the point of this book? Why'd I drag you through my dirt just to spit you out here at the end? Simple. If you're reading this thinking I'm built different, I dare you. Walk the corners I walked. Taste the poison. Swing the fist. Slide the ring on her finger. Call a snake your brother. Tell yourself your loyalty will buy you freedom. Then come back in 10 years and tell me how your bones feel when it rains. Tell me how your name tastes when you say it alone in the dark. They told me experience was the best teacher. They never told me some lessons bury you alive. I survived, but what I survived might kill you. So before you step out the door tonight, before you trust that grin, before you light that fuse, look at my scars and rethink your steps. Bonus entry, when I say leave her. May 29th, 2012. When I say don't chase a girl who loves your poison, you say she's different. You say she's ride or die. You say she holds me down when nobody else does. I've heard that lie humming in 1,000 stairwells at 3 in the morning. I did get out, but Derek didn't. Derek fell for a girl who knew how to hide his stash under the crib mattress when the boys in blue came knocking. She called him baby with her mouth full of pills he bought her. She said forever while she ran his name through every back alley and borrowed dollars she could find. They found Derek face down in the same bed they used to swear was their kingdom. Empty syringe on the sheet. Her perfume still on his neck. She didn't stick around long enough to say I'm sorry. You think she'll save you? Lay down with her. Pour your secrets in her mouth like cheap liquor. Tell yourself you're her king. I dare you. And when you wake up to an empty room and a half-empty vein, tell me how loyal she really was. When I say stay clean. August 8th, 2013. When I say don't touch that bag, you say I just need one hit to keep the edge off. You say I got it under control. You say I'm not like the fiends on the corner. You think poison cares about your promises? I did get out. My teeth still chatter when I remember the nights I didn't. But Reese didn't. Reese used to split his pills with me. Half for him, half for me. We told each other it was just so we could sleep. So we could hustle harder tomorrow. So we wouldn't feel the bruises the street handed out like candy. One night, Reese nodded off behind Denny's, 5 feet from the door. He was so close to warmth he never made it to. They found him frozen stiff like trash nobody bothered to take out. You think you're built different? Crack the bag. Roll the bill. Snort it. Swallow it. Shoot it. Pick your poison. I dare you. Then check your pulse tomorrow morning, if you wake up at all. When I say don't test it, you say it's different now. You say we got social media, we got options, we got hustle they never dreamed of. You think all this glow and fame and get rich quick means the street got soft while you were scrolling. Look at 50 Cent, 9 bullets, still standing, mobile moves, legend moves. But you forget 50 got lucky. 9 slugs and he lived to rap about it. You think your bullet's gonna bounce too? I dare you. Go stand where he stood. Run your mouth. Make your block proud. Then tell your mama why your album never dropped when she's crying over your closed casket. You say, well, Tupac and Biggie were different. Yeah, they were different. Different enough to die for it. All that poetry, all that fire, all that truth. Didn't stop the bullet. Didn't stop the jealousy. Didn't stop the street from spitting them out cold. You say, nah, I'm smarter. Look at Jay-Z. Yeah, look at him. He played it right, got out, flipped bricks to boardrooms. But you think he'd still be here if he'd kept hustling on Marcy's corners instead of building a kingdom in glass towers? You can't rap about the corner forever if you stay stuck on it. The street don't care about your bars if your body's on ice. You say, look at Whitney. God-given voice. Whole world called her the voice. One taste of poison, and it never let her go. You think your lungs are stronger? Your veins tougher? Your spirit more blessed than hers was? Try it. Smoke it. Pop it. Pour it down your throat till your family finds you face down in a tub that cost more than the coffin they'll bury you in. You say it's love that'll save me. Okay, look at Amy Winehouse. Beloved. Brilliant. Broken. The bottle and the heartbreak made better songs than any lover ever did. And in the end, they wrote her eulogy too. You say Nipsey did it right. Yes, he did. Until they shot him in front of the very block he was trying to buy back for people like you. Sometimes giving back don't mean the street gives you mercy. So here's my advice. The only free thing the street will ever give you. When I say don't step where I stepped, don't tell me you're smarter. When I say don't swallow that pill, don't tell me you'll stop when you're ready. When I say don't call him your brother, don't swear your circle's tighter than the noose he's building behind your back. When I say don't love a girl who only loves your damage, don't tell me you're different. You think experience is the best teacher? It is, but experience don't care if you graduate. Sometimes the final exam is a body bag. So here's my final dare. Go on. Be the one who proves me wrong. Take the street, the bag, the bottle, the bullet, the lie. Wear it like armor. Call it your come up. But don't say I didn't warn you when you see your own name written on the street in candles and spray paint. Another promise the block didn't keep. Sign it how you want. The one who survived barely.